Today is September 3rd, 2024. Welcome to Football Today. And yeah, we're now presented by Captain Morgan. My name is Justin Penik. Chris Rose and Bobby Skinner will be joining me. Thank you to Captain Morgan for being the presenting sponsor. They're going to be the presenting sponsor of Football Today throughout the entire season. We're really excited about it, and I hope that you're excited for it too. We've grinded this offseason, man. I want to add this personal touch at the start. We've grinded this offseason, man. Bobby and I, Chris Rose as well, producer Mikey. We've grinded with these TPPs. We've grinded with these episodes. We're going up to Football Today 3 times a week for the regular season, so get ready for that next week. We're going 3 times a week. Subscribe. I hope you enjoy. Support us. Support John Boy Media Football if you really like what we're doing. And without further ado, let's get to the news of the day. Chris Rose.
So let's start with, I think, the most interesting one, which was up in New England, where Drake Maye, the third overall pick, will start the season as Jacoby Brissett's backup. Any problem with this decision, Bobby Skinner, or the way that Gerard Mayo handled it in his first camp as head coach?
No, absolutely none. This is really the one I was the most interested in, where it's like Raiders, blah. Even, Pittsburgh, it's like bad versus bad. I'm glad. I'm glad because I really like Drake Maye. I think Drake Maye can be really good, but it's just not a great situation for a rookie QB there. And unfortunately, I don't love the coaching there too, which is, I don't expect that part changing. I just don't think it's a good, like, where's a worse environment for a quarterback in the NFL outside of New England, right? You can maybe, say New Orleans with their offensive line, but at least they have like a Chris Olave, as much as I like Pop Douglas. So no, that offensive line, they still don't even know who's starting on that group. Their receiving group is very lackluster. And I'm not thrilled with Alex Van Pelt as their offensive coordinator there. Give Drake Maye time, right? Give him time. There's no reason to rush this along. This is your biggest investment on the team. Don't rush this along. And I don't think he did anything to show that, he's so good right now that we can't not give him the job.
They're a team that has a lot of guards and they need a tackle to just come up and rise. But they actually have like guards that they kind of like, but there's too many of them is the issue. And I have this thing where this even goes back to the draft, where some of the things that we heard with under the Giants umbrella, Bobby, that the Giants were trying to trade up with the Patriots, but the Patriots, at least part of the Patriots and their ownership was very steadfast that they were not trading away the third overall pick. But you had some of the coaching staff and maybe even the front office was open to trading back. Where I don't think the coaching staff and how they presented Drake Maye this summer. We were up there for 2 days for practice, so it's not a big sample size. But we were up there for a joint practice, and then we saw what they did in the preseason game, where in the first game he barely even threw a pass. I don't think the Patriots properly rolled out Drake Maye this summer. I would have liked to see him tasked to do a little bit more. He had this one really nice throw on the sideline where he was on the run, he throws it across his body. That's like, yeah, that's the Drake Maye that we know that we could see at the NFL level. I don't think the Patriots allowed him to be Drake Maye this summer, and that's kind of frustrating. And I have this little bit of a theory that I think the coaching staff is a little bit more anti-Drake Maye because they didn't maybe want him in the first place and a little bit more pro-Jacoby Brissett. And there could be a certain point this year where ownership just gets too sick and tired of what's happening, and they just want to see Drake Maye.
And really,
I think that's going to
the
happen
only preseason action that mattered was that Eagles game, right? The Commanders game, I know we all watched it because it was Sunday night, but you're going up against what might think is one of the worst defenses in the NFL in the Commanders, and it's their backups with a basic game plan. Like, as much as fun as he was in that game, I'm not taking anything away from it. It reminds me of Zach Wilson versus the Packers a couple of years ago. It's just not a great situation for a rookie QB. We've seen guys, benefit from the year of sitting, whether it's because of that or not. At least we know it doesn't hurt them, right? Where throwing guys into the fire can hurt them. So this is the smart decision for a team that just traded away Matthew Judon and knows they're not winning games this year.
Particularly when you look at their schedule, guys. We've talked about this a bunch, but their first 2 months of the season stacked with not just teams that are thinking playoffs, but literally thinking Super Bowl, right? It starts at Cincinnati, then it's home against Seattle, but at the Jets, at the Niners, home against Miami, the Texans, the Jags, and the Jets. that one against Jacksonville is not home. That's a London game. And I suppose selfishly, since I am calling that on NFL Network, do you think that by week 7, Drake Maye is playing football for the Patriots?
Yes, because I think Gerard Mayo is not. I think he's very persuaded by pressure, and there's going to be pressure from Kraft. There's going to be pressure from media, and there's going to be pressure by fans. And Jacoby Brissett hasn't looked particularly good, and I don't think he will. So I do think he's going. I think he almost cracked under it. Like, if this was their plan all along, they should have just named Jacoby Brissett the starter at the beginning of camp.
Well, particularly since it sounded like this is the way it read, is that Drake Maye actually put some pressure on Jacoby Brissett. That at first they were like, okay, well, this is Jacoby. He's been here before. He's started games for us, albeit it feels like a lifetime ago. But he's a pro. We know exactly what we're getting out of him. And the quote was from Gerard Mayo, once Drake Maye stopped deferring to Jacoby Brissett, things got really interesting here, and he outplayed Jacoby Brissett. So at some point, we're going to see Drake Maye. I would hope it's for half the season. I don't think that there's a benefit for him sitting the entire year in this case with an awful I think he does play half the season to get your feet wet, to understand what it's like to play in an NFL game. And I hope it starts week 7.
And then, Chris, correct me if I'm wrong. You read that quote where Drake Maye started to outplay Jacoby Brissett, but then I'm pretty sure 24 hours before, Gerard Mayo said Jacoby Brissett's outplaying Drake Maye. And then there was maybe a conversation with, hey, why don't put some Drake Maye love out there too. I do think Kraft is going to get in their ears, and Kraft, like a guy like Belichick, well, maybe not as apt to listen to Robert Kraft when he was there because it's Bill Belichick. But now that Gerard Mayo's in the building and it's a rookie head coach, I think Kraft is going to get in his ear.
I agree. I think it's going to happen. And I hope I see him in London starting against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Keep my fingers crossed on that one. The other one, when as expected, Russell Wilson is getting the call for Mike Tomlin over Justin Fields. No shock here. Wrong move, Justin, or right move?
It's the right move, but the line that I've been saying over and over again is I don't think anybody won or lost that job. I simply think it was just here. Take it. Like, you didn't win this. You didn't lose. Like, Fields didn't lose. Wilson didn't win the job. They both looked bad. I'm Steelers camp is more important than anything. So I can't report what I saw from Steelers camp, but based on what we saw in preseason where everything's vanilla and the game plans are vanilla and blah, 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 I mean, it's not good. And it's going to be rough. I think it's going to be really rough in Pittsburgh. But I do think Wilson gives them the better shot to win.
Yeah, I don't have much reaction to this.
Apparently, with your delay.
Because nobody won. Nobody won the job.
I do. I think none of us love what Justin Fields has done, or I guess more aptly, has not done yet in his career.
Right, it's not good.
But there is a possibility. There's still a possibility. With Russell Wilson, we know exactly. And Russell Wilson was a fantastic player for a long, long time. And that should not be lost
Good
here.
chance he's a Hall of Famer, too.
Transpired in Denver. Yeah, I would certainly listen to that argument, no question. But at this point of his career, it just doesn't feel like there's much. So why don't you try with Justin Fields? At least try. Once again, we have talked about the teams that either are locked and loaded for the next 5 years, Kansas City, Cincinnati, Buffalo, Baltimore, we can go on and on. The teams that think they have a plan, guys that they just drafted last year or this year. And then there are teams that have no effing clue what is going to happen after. And the Pittsburgh Steelers are in a very small group right now, along with the Las Vegas Raiders. And I don't know if there's any other team I could really think of off the top of my head. But that's kind of the point, is that at least if he gives you a chance where you're like, whoa, Justin Fields has learned. He's received better coaching. He has turned a corner. Whatever it is, that at least is a possibility. It is not with Russell Wilson.
Yeah, part of it is I think they told Russ when he signed that he would be the starting QB as part of it. The other part is it's easier to go from Russ to Fields than it is vice versa. The thing was, because I don't think Justin Fields is a good QB. I don't think he'll ever be a good QB. But I do think this system does maximize his talent, where it's a lot of under center play action, zone read stuff, and having just some guys that hey, just throw it to them, right? This is your number one, throw it to it with George Pickens. But like I said, I'm not a Steelers camp or anything, and I don't like in either one of these quarterbacks. So it's I don't have any strong beliefs in who they should go. Like you said, Justin Fields, there is the what if factor there, but I also think a guy that just had 200, 300 yard passing games in 3 years is just not
Right.
it.
Okay, I'm going to set the over under. Penik, I want you to go first. Of Justin Fields starts as a Steeler this year at 4.5.
Over. Yeah. Over.
Tomlin's the most stubborn. I do not
Stubborn.
care what the media is writing type of coach, and I like that about him too. Not saying that I'm not saying stubborn in a bad way, where he's I'm doing what I think's best. I don't give a shit what you write. I'm not getting fired. Suck it. 4.5. I'll say over because that's a low number, but I don't think he gets half the season.
So if I had gone 7.5,
I probably would say under.
Penik?
I would say over.
Huh. I think under.
Yeah. I just stumbled upon this. I mean, we've gone round and round with this Russ and Fields conversation. I'm really glad this is the last one that we're going to have
until the change.
until we actually get to see what the Steelers look like.
Yeah.
We've had the same. I'm on his Pro Football Reference page, man. Russ's 2017, 2018, 2019, we're throwing over 30 touchdowns. 2020, we're throwing 40.
The lifetime ago.
I mean, who would have thought that we would be having this conversation?
It happens. It happens in every sport. Guys fall off. It just does. All right.
That's crazy. All right, before we answer the next question, or we go on to the next topic for football today, we got to talk about the DraftKings Sportsbook with the football season kicking off. And oh boy, it feels good to be talking about football. No more baseball reads. Blah. With football kicking off, it's the perfect time to dive into the action with our partners over at DraftKings, the number one place to bet on touchdowns. Right now, all new customers who bet just $5 will instantly get $250 in bonus bets. Plus, here's the big kicker, 1 month of NFL Plus Premium. Now, that's something we can all celebrate. Do you want to know what bet I already have in? Because I feel like it's a slam dunk. Travis Kelce, first touchdown of Thursday Night Football against the Chiefs. I feel like it's just a slam dunk. I feel like it's easy. So if you sign up with our partners at DraftKings right now, sign up, use promo code Football Today, $250 in bonus bets instantly and 1 month of NFL Plus Premium after betting just $5. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. New customers use promo code Football Today. Bet $5 on any wager, get $250 in bonus bets instantly. That's promo code Football Today, all one word, only at the DraftKings Sportsbook. You'll be glad you did.
Let's get to the awards portion of the program. I don't hear any trumpets blaring or anything else. The orchestra's not playing, but it is in my head.
Oh, don't tell me to do it.
Several other voices. We're going to start with the big one out of the gate. We're not saving it for a last commercial break. That's not what we do around here. We're going to do the heavy hitters early. Your 2024 MVP, Justin Penik, is...
This is dangerous because I'm predicting them to win the Super Bowl too, and that's only happened once where you've had the Super Bowl winner also win an MVP award of the regular season.
Do you know who
Patrick
it was?
Mahomes did it, I believe. Patrick Mahomes?
Yes.
I don't...
If that stat's correct. I don't know if that stat's 100%
that stat's
correct,
not correct because Terrell Davis won the league MVP and won.
I feel like Tom Brady did in
quarterback?
27. No, that was the Eagles' year.
Yeah.
All right, well, please leave a comment that Justin doesn't know ball. Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow will be your regular season MVP this year.
Okay. Bobby?
To me, it's Josh Allen, right? And let's look at him versus last year's MVP. It's 700 more passing yards, 5 more passing touchdowns, 10 more rushing touchdowns. The difference that Lamar had is he had 280 more rushing yards, and then Allen had 25 interceptions and fumbles. Lamar had 18 interceptions, fumbles. Obviously, interceptions is the number we look at, where Allen had 18. Lamar, I think, had 7. So that's obviously the big discrepancy there. The Ravens also are the best team in the NFL, so that helps with it. Patrick Mahomes should be the favorite, but again, MVP is a narrative award, right? Like it gets you rolling, and I think the Bills aren't going to have this slow start. You just need to be Josh Allen needs to not throw the interceptions on prime time, and like the narrative around the Bills right now is like, this year's going to be a little rough, right? Who's even going to throw to, right? Then who's talking about Dalton Kincaid and Curtis Samuel, how he act like that's just not that in the front of everyone's brain. And so I think Josh Allen he's never gotten it, gets it. I think he gets it this year. They're going to run the ball a little more, which should help with some of the interception shit. Josh Allen wins his first MVP. Did you guys know there's only 3 active MVPs in the NFL right now?
Yes. That's amazing. It's kind of surprising, to be honest with you, right? So it's Rodgers, Lamar, and Mahomes.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
How many more times do you want to say that this episode?
It's Lamar, Mahomes.
Well, how many does Aaron Rodgers have, and then how many do Mahomes and Lamar have?
4.
4, and then 2 and 2.
Correct.
Thank you. I do trivia on this channel.
Wait, Patrick Mahomes doesn't have 3?
No, he only has 2.
Nope.
Oh,
because Rodgers won the back-to-back ones, and then he won again, and then Lamar last year.
Hopefully that guy
Lamar
starts
won it in
figuring out.
2019 as well.
So isn't this nice? Out of 8, we all have quarterbacks, but they're all different names.
Well, you can't even not pick a quarterback because it's just it's kind of bullshit that
It
quarterback
does suck.
Adrian Peterson won one, in what year was that?
2012.
Yeah, and what was the
Sean
last
Alexander
non-QB before then? Sean Alexander, maybe?
Yeah. It's happened. It's amazing that a wide receiver, that Jerry Rice never won league MVP.
Wide receivers just can't win it. A running back can win it. Wide receivers can't.
I mean, we've had 2 defensive players win it.
Last one was Lawrence Taylor, so we're talking about the 80s now?
That was the 80s. I think it was 86, and then the one before that was the year of my birth, I believe.
1948?
Don't say 1943. Okay, you guys are cute.
You set us up. You set us up so easily.
Do you know who it was?
No.
Alan Page.
Alan Page. How could I forget
of the
that
Purple
year?
People Eaters.
Didn't a kicker win co-MVP one year?
Yes.
Mark Phillies, fun fact.
Mark Mosley in 1983, I believe it was, won an MVP the year after Joe Theismann. I don't think it was I think he was but could you imagine if a kicker won it in today's world? Like in 1983, we're like, oh, okay, kicker won it. Like today, the world would explode. Anyway, I'm gonna
sports books. Oh, I don't know. Stop.
I'm gonna give you my pick. C.J. Stroud.
That's a great one.
He had one of the great rookie seasons ever by a quarterback because he was super at times. He threw for more than 4,000 yards, almost 65% completion. But the mistakes were so limited. And you'll either get a guy who throws a ton of interceptions, he only threw 5, or gets sacked a ton. In his first 2 games, he got sacked 11 times. And then the other 13, because he missed a couple because of injury, he only got sacked 27 times. So basically twice a game. So that means that he's understanding pressure, he's seeing the field, he's not holding the ball, and he's still making plays. And I just think that they're a team that's loaded this year, particularly at wide receiver. I think he's going to have a great year. And I think that if in order to win MVP for the first time, not only does your team have to play well, but you have to produce significantly better. And his numbers were outstanding, but he could get to 35 touchdowns this year if he plays all 17 games. And we wouldn't be like, wow, that's incredible. We'd be like, yeah.
And the year 2 thing is real too, where we haven't, if you haven't, we're not looking to tear you down at any point, that's just like, the natural, sports fan writer thing is the longer you go, the more we look for flaws. Even Patrick Mahomes went through it one year. So he's got that going for him. So the year 2 thing is definitely real in there too. So if I was going not Patrick Mahomes, it would be Josh Allen, CJ Stroud.
Yeah. All right, let's go to Offensive Player of the Year. Bobby, we'll start with you, then I'll go, and then Penik, you'll finish it up.
I feel a little boring with this one, but there is a stat that makes me feel a little less boring, is that only 7 guys have won this more than once. But I'm going Justin Jefferson, right? He won it 2 years ago. He is the best wide receiver in the NFL. And you just look at like what he did those last 4 games with no Kirk Cousins and Nick Mullins at QB. 32 catches, 476 yards, 2 touchdowns. That translates to over 2,000 yards and 136 catches. He actually had more yards per game last year than the season where he won it with the 1,800 yards. And you think of the fact that there's no TJ Hawkinson there. We'll see about Jordan Addison, but there's going to be times where the game plan is just throw the ball to him. So I think Justin Jefferson is the 8th player to ever win it more than one time.
Well, you got the right position. You even got the right college. You just got the wrong guy.
Malik
It's
Neighbors?
going to be Jamar Chase. And I know Malik. That's adorable. He might get one of the awards we're talking about later. Maybe. Jamar Chase. So as of the taping of this show, he has appeared at practice. He has not appeared at practice. He's walked in. He's walked out. He doesn't like his contract. So one of two things will happen. He's either going to get a mega deal and want to show that, yeah, he earned every bit of that, or he's going to play pissed off. Either way, I think it's great for the Cincinnati Bengals, whom both Penik and I think are going to play in the Super Bowl. I think you have them winning the Super Bowl. I have them losing the Super Bowl to the Packers. But, listen, the guy caught 100 passes for the first time in his career last year, and he played a handful of games without Joe Burrow. His touchdowns were down. That's okay. He can get those numbers back up. I just think he is such a beast and such a physical marvel that he's going to do something ridiculously special. He could get 112 catches this year and a dozen touchdowns and be like, yeah, all right.
Fellas.
Dude, do Malik Neighbors. Let's just go all LSU wide receivers.
No, but I'm going wide receiver.
Marshall.
It's got to be Tyreek Hill, man.
Again, back to back.
No, Christian McCaffrey got
McCaffrey won it last year.
I'm an idiot.
No,
yeah, the guy that finished. No. I mean, he was second in Offensive Player of the Year voting, but he was 6th in MVP voting. A guy that I honestly thought could have got MVP if he plays that 17th game and maybe he crosses that 1,800-yard threshold, or even if he broke the, he kind of. It's crazy to say a guy that had 1,799 yards last year slowed down towards the end of the year. But I thought there was one point where he was going to break Calvin Johnson's record, and then he would have had a really good argument for MVP. But I think Tyreek Hill is just going to do it again, man. This is back-to-back seasons of 1,700 plus yards, back-to-back seasons of 119 catches. Where fellas, I mean, he could have a down year for him at 1,500 yards and still win Offensive Player of the Year this year. I mean, Chris, you're talking about Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase can have a career year. Like his rookie year was 1,455. He hasn't even crossed over 1,250 since then.
Right.
He in 16 games last year at 12, 16, 7 touchdowns. So I think this is just Tyreek Hill's normal is just everyone else's career year. Like, this could be an outlier year, but that's Tyreek Hill every single year. I feel like in this Mike McDaniel system. And if he stays healthy, he's going to win this. Every single efficiency graph, if you look at for wide receivers, whether it's yak, whether it's separation, whether it's yards per route run, it's everyone else is good in this top right. And then in the ultra top right, it's Tyreek Hill in every single graph. And I don't anticipate that slowing down because he's just so much better than everyone else.
Okay, so if this happens, guys, can we please, NFL, make sure that Noah Lyles shows up at NFL Honors in New Orleans and presents Tyreek Hill with the offensive player?
Well, you're the one who works at NFL Network. Make it happen.
Yeah, but when they don't listen to their people. So, everybody else, make a push. Make a push to get Noah Lyles there. That would be that would be Will Smith, Chris Rock type television. That's what we could be looking at. I'm in on that. Okay. All good choices. All good choices. Defensive Player of the Year, and I think this might be our first double up, but I'm going to go hit lead off on this one. 9 of the last 10 recipients of this award have been guys that go attack the quarterback like a monster.
Yeah.
The only DB is Stephon Gilmore. Yeah, so that's it. So Micah Parsons does a little bit of everything. Actually, he does a lot of everything, and he does it really well. Last year, he had the highest pass rush win rate in the NFL at 35%. To put that in perspective, Myles Garrett, who won this award, was at 30%. On top of that, Micah Parsons received the highest percentage of double teams, which is ridiculous. He was at 35%, Garrett was at 29%, and TJ Watt was only at 14%. He also has substantially fewer pass rush. Now, I don't know how this is going to work out in a Mike Zimmer defense compared to Dan Quinn, but they would have him do other things in this defense that other high-end pass rushers would not have to do on as regular basis. So Micah Parsons, we talked about it, I think, in the last episode. He is as in need of a contract extension as anyone in this league. And if the Dallas Cowboys wait for that and wait for Dak, then the price is going to go up in both areas, I'm afraid.
Oh, the price is going up. Congrats, Dallas. Parsons is a good one. So you mentioned that no DB has won it since Stephon Gilmore. And since the 2000s started, only Ed Reed, Bob Sanders, Charles Woodson, and Gilmore. Honestly, I feel we need a year where it's not. Maybe you have like this Nick Bosa, Myles Garrett, Micah Parsons. They're so evenly. They kind of eat at each other a little bit with votes. I'm going to go a little off the beaten path. I'm going to go Derek Stingley, the Houston Texans cornerback.
Wow.
Even though he may not even be the best corner in the NFL, right? I would take Sauce Gardner over him. I would take Jalen Johnson over him. But what he will do is get the interceptions, right? Last year in 11 games, he was second for corner interceptions last year, only behind Deron Bland. And again, they only played 11 games. He's number one in forcing completion rate at 23%, 10th in completion rate. So he's not giving up. It's not like a Trevon Diggs where he's giving up like 70% of his passes, but he gets the interceptions type things. Now he does give a lot of yards up when he does give up catches, but maybe you bring that down a little bit. You get maybe a few more interceptions, and you're viewed more as a shutdown. And I felt like going a little off the beaten path instead of just picking one of Garrett, Bosa, Watt, or Parsons. So I'm going Derek Stingley, Houston Texans cornerback.
So I thought about going DB, and I thought about Sauce Gardner, and then I worried that he doesn't get enough interceptions.
No, yes, they get the interceptions.
I know, which is so weird because the whole idea is to be a new Sauce Island, if you will. Although Revis used to get picks too, until they stopped throwing his direction. All right, Penik.
You all are going to think I'm crazy.
Yes, I love that.
But this guy, despite not having the same year that he had in 2022, finished 9th in Defensive Player of the Year voting last year. So that tells me, got hurt towards the end of the year, didn't have the same production as 2022, but is gaining the respect of these NFL vote getters. And you're going to think I'm crazy and biased because he's from my favorite team.
Dexter Lawrence.
I think Dexter Lawrence has a good shot.
Oh,
and
boy.
he is my prediction for defensive.
He doesn't get sacks, Justin.
That's the thing.
I'm going to tell you why. Here we go. I'm going to tell you why.
You have to get over 15 sacks to win Defensive Player of the Year. He doesn't get them.
And your team has to not suck.
He's not going to get 15. He's not going to get 15. He's not going to get 15.
And he's not going to get Defensive Player of the Year.
But he's going to get over 10. But it tells me that one little line of like, you look on his Pro Football Reference page, in a year where he had 7.5 sacks and 28 QB hits, he was a second team All-Pro with no votes for Defensive Player of the Year. But the year where he had 4.5 sacks and 21 QB hits is the year that he finished 9th. I think the NFL is finally starting to understand that there is a star in Dexter Lawrence, and what he is doing at the nose tackle / interior defensive lineman position, nobody else is doing, and nobody else is touching him. And I'm not even just saying this based off his play, because here's some of the advanced numbers, and he does need to get more sacks. All of last year, among edge and interior defensive linemen, he was tied for 3rd in pass rush grade, 9th in pass rush win rate, 1 spot better than Quinnen Williams. He was 3rd in pass rush win rate among true pass sets. And he suffered an injury towards the end of last year. So this is as of October 30th, 2023. Dexter Lawrence led all interior defensive linemen with 44 pressures and was tied for the league lead with Nick Bosa. So we're at a point where Dexter Lawrence, where I'm not just talking about and comparing him to interior defensive linemen and being like, look at how good he is among these interior defensive linemen. I'm at the point where I'm comparing him to edge rushers as well in some of these advanced categories, and he is top 5, top 3 in these categories. You're not going to win an MVP based off of your win rate. You're going to win an MVP amongst your sacks, your tackles for loss, and your QB hits, and your overall impact. If he gets in the teens, 13, I think he can have that kind of year. Dexter Lawrence is my defensive player of the year. Call me biased, but let me pound my chest for my guy for a second.
Well, for the when Aaron Donald won the first time, he had 11 sacks. Then he jumped up to over 20, and they were like, oh, well, we're going to give it to you again. The only thing I would say is that Aaron Donald, what he was doing, it was like sexy in the interior. I don't think we can use sexy to describe anything.
Well, it's in his nickname, Sexy Dexy.
It's his name.
Yeah, but
I know what you're saying.
I think that's just kind of a little play, if you will. So I wish him luck. I don't know if a guy can do that on a 6-win team, but maybe.
What about a 7-win team?
Okay, maybe. Perhaps. This is kind of like the snake draft part of our program. Penik, you'll hit leadoff on the coach of the year.
Only one right answer here.
Mike McDonald. Is that the right answer?
No.
Okay. Bobby said there's one right answer.
Jim Harbaugh.
Okay, that's not who I'm going with, though.
You are.
I'm going with Mike McDonald because this does lean towards first year coaches, and I do think Seattle just has a little bit more talent than LA, and I think Mike McDonald is going to do some good things with that defense that has good talent, and I think they could maybe be a double-digit win team, and if that happens, Mike McDonald's going to.
Did you pick the Seahawks to make the playoffs?
I did not, but I picked them 9-8.
They got to make the playoffs.
I mean,
yeah, they do. That's what they went last year.
There's no more narrative-based award than Coach of the Year.
Right.
Well, I know.
Like an offensive coach won it last year with like an awful offense. It's got to be Jim Harbaugh, though, right?
The 4-13 Chargers?
Yeah. Last year's 4-13 Chargers because everyone's like, that defense. There's no way. And guess what? There's going to be a way because Jim Harbaugh finds a way every year in year one. And year one, he always finds a way. Whether it's the University of San Diego or, like people forget Alex Smith was looked at as a freaking bum before Jim Harbaugh showed up. So
this is true.
I'm going Jim Harbaugh, and he wins his second Coach of the Year.
Oh, that'll be fun for him, but I don't think it's going to happen because Raheem Morris is going to take that award. I think didn't we all have the Falcons winning that division?
Yeah, and at 10 wins, I'm pretty sure, right? 9-10 wins.
Right. And so when that happens, and the Falcons have not made the playoffs since 2017. In fact, they haven't had more than 7 wins in a single season since then. So 2 guys are going to get the most credit there, and that's going to be Kirk Cousins, and it's going to get who might be up for comeback player of the year. And then it's going to be Raheem Morris. Even if Bijan Robinson is an MVP candidate, he'll get a ton of credit too. But it basically has to be the coach of either a new team and they kind of make a lot of headway, or a team that suffers through injuries and they persevere. Like that's what happened with the Browns.
Isn't the thing that
last year
everyone's picking the Falcons to win that division, though?
Yes, but to pick them and still to do it when they haven't done it in a few years, I still think he'll get credit. Because you'll end up looking at it and like, what in the world would Zach Taylor have to do to get Coach of the Year? 14 wins?
Oh, yeah, basically.
And they've already won the division. Yeah, he's already won the division title.
Here's what I will say, Chris. If things go to your prediction with the Packers, that the Packers win the North, and how many wins did you have them?
Yeah, I think I had them at 12.
If LaFleur leads the Packers, who still have the youngest team in the NFL, to 12 wins and they win the North over the Lions, I think LaFleur's got a good shot at it too.
I thought about him. I did. I think he was one of the other guys I kind of threw around. I don't love this one. I'm kind of with Bobby on this award. It's just, I don't know. Can we move on?
Yes.
Let's move on. We got to get the defensive rookie of the year here.
Well,
this is where we figure out who's smart and who's not.
Can we do offensive rookie of the year
We
first?
do. That's what I'm saying. We got to go.
Okay, you go, Bobby. Rookie of the year.
If a QB even does above average, they win it. And when you have the rookie number 1 overall pick playing with DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, and Romo Dunze, and a good run blocking, Caleb Williams is going to win offensive rookie of the year. It's boring, to predict that, but you would essentially have to predict that every rookie QB does bad for it to not be a QB. And the guy who's the number one pick and also in the best position is Caleb Williams. So to me, it's probably one of the easier rookie of the year picks in a long time.
However, since 2000, Williams is the 18th quarterback to be selected number one overall. Only 3 have won Offensive Rookie of the Year. Sam Bradford, Cam Newton, Kyler Murray. So I don't know, which is why I'm going with Marvin Harrison Jr. I think that he is going to make such a substantial difference there. His dad, by the way, 64 catches as a rookie back in 1996. And who was his quarterback? That's right.
Jim Harbaugh.
Bobby's coach of the year. Jim Harbaugh was. 3 players have had a 100-catch season as a rookie. We saw Nakua, Waddle, and Anquan Bolden did it over 20 years ago. I think Marvin has a chance to top that. He's not going to best Randy Moss's record of 17 touchdown catches as a rookie back in 98, but I think he can get to double digits and have a remarkable rookie season. Penik?
This is the first time that we're repeating. I'm going Caleb.
Yeah, it's fair.
And this is all for Malik Neighbors just to do it.
Well, I saw the Hard Knocks script, and it is Caleb. So
Adam Schefter really gets off by like tweeting out Bears transactions, but like Hard Knocks spoiler. Just been noticing that every tweet about the Chicago Bears is like Hard Knocks spoiler, and I've gotten a kick out of that. We should do what second round pick has the best chance to win Offensive Rookie of the Year?
Oh, that's fun. You know what? I actually like this exercise.
Want to do that? Now I got to bring up. I've forgotten who got drafted in the second.
You just
round.
look at it.
Oh,
real
that's
quick.
okay. Well,
all right, hold on. Oh my God.
I mean, Keon Coleman to lead off the second round is.
Yeah, I know it's the first pick of the
one.
second round, but he's like the number one outside receiver for Josh Allen. So
yeah, Jonathan Brooks is hurt.
You could pick a third round guy.
Yeah, but
There's
you know
no
what? He is going
year.
to. Yeah, but Ladd McConkey.
That's true.
Interesting.
He does have the Coach of the Year.
I've read some really good things on Jalen Polk, and they're going to be down in a lot of games, so he might get some numbers.
They're going to be 31st in passing, so.
Yeah, but they still have to throw to get back into it.
That's true.
Bobby, I thought for sure
here's an underrated one. Here's an underrated one from round 3. I don't know what his involvement's going to be. I don't know how much the Bengals offense is going to really trust him, but Jermaine Burton is like a huge wild card. Like if Jermaine Burton can be fun in year 1 for the Bengals, that could help. Like add a third target already and kind of like replace the production that Tyler Boyd gave you without blinking. Like that would be awesome.
Blake Corum's a great one
Mitchell?
too. I could see him taking over for Kyren Williams at some point if he plays better.
Yeah. And Kyren Williams is going to be returning punts. Usually you don't do that with your number one running back.
And I'm starting to get a little bit ready for my fantasy football draft, and my kind of thing is like, don't trust a Rams running back to go back-to-back years with good success. But they are going to run the ball pretty well, and I think Blake Corum has a good chance to. I think they will probably split reps like from the get-go. So Corum could get like 1,000-yard season.
One other one, A.D. Mitchell, the Colts.
Thought about that too.
Yeah, like him. All right, since you've been so excited about this particular award, Bobby, do you want to double up and go back?
It doesn't matter, but
Rookie of the Year?
What I love about Defensive Rookie of the Year, there's no easy answer because we didn't have any go in the first 14 picks. And the first guy picked in Latu Latu is actually the best pick because even if you don't love Latu, you think he's probably going to get some sacks, right? Just his play style. Even if you're being a nerd at the end of the year and like, yeah, but it's not super efficient. It's like, okay, but he got 9.5 sacks as a rookie, right? So he's the safest bet. Corner's so tough. And I don't think any of these corners really have a shot unless Kenyon Mitchell is like the number one guy in that Eagles defense. I'm going off the beaten path. And when there's no clear answer, look at who the Rams drafted. I'm going third round safety, the guy who has had 11 interceptions in 22 games, his last 22 games in college. More than any safety in college football the last 2 years. I'm going Miami's own, my safety one in the class, Cam Kinchins. We're winning Defensive Rookie of the Year.
Oh, boy. If you win that one, I mean, you'll be
I'll
the
never
king
take a bigger
of,
victory lap in my life if Cam
Oh,
catches
yeah, absolutely, and you should. We should push that to the Today Show. You should appear on the extra hour with Hoda, and I don't know.
Hoda and
Next
Kathy
year's
Lee.
safety
still do
draft
that?
preview, I'm going to be so cocky. Like, you're going to doubt me. You're going to doubt me. Really?
I am going to go with Byron Murphy.
That was my number 2.
Was he?
And that's my winner.
Is he? Okay. Yeah, well, it makes sense since you had the coach of the year. I just think that I was just up there, obviously, for the preseason game and talking to some people on the Seattle sideline. They were like,
He's
"He's a
good.
stud." And
He's
you know what? They've
good.
done an exceptional job drafting on that side of the football the last few years. Exceptional. They've done really well, it feels like, in their secondary. They just traded like Darrell Taylor, who's a fine rotational piece, but they could move on from him because like guys like Boye Mafe have really moved up and are continuing to develop. And I just think that Byron Murphy's one of those physical elite athletes that can do just about anything on that defensive front.
My only
I think
worry
he's
is
gonna be
that the smaller defensive tackles can take a little bit of time going. But yeah, he's my number 2 choice in all of this.
okay.
Because it very much is a pass rusher's award. Obviously, there's better chance like than defensive player of the year. You have like a Sauce Gardner. Kenyon Mitchell would probably be my number 3 just because I like him so much. And he's probably going to be the best corner in a Vic Fangio defense. But I thought about him, but I don't know if he's going to get the interceptions to do it.
You know what we all need to get more of? Off our ass. And it's football season, and it's time to go, baby. And our partners over at Mountain Dew, they're going to help us with bold flavors and a refreshing citrus kick. Mountain Dew will get you off your ass and having you feel like you're on an actual mountain. And, oh boy, when I'm in section 315 at MetLife Stadium, I'm feeling like I'm in an actual mountain, and I have some Mountain Dew going with me on game days. A mountain where the weather is always perfect, your friends are ready to hang, and a day of epic proportions awaits. The mountain is calling. You should answer. Grab your friends, grab an ice cold Mountain Dew, wherever refreshing beverages are sold, and do the Dew. I've been doing the Dew for years now. Mountain Dew, I love it. Kind of a dream partnership, and you'll be glad you did as well.
All right. This is an award a little off the beaten path, but Justin Penik wanted it so much that we figured let's throw him a bone. So this is why don't you explain what it is?
Yeah, so basically, we're talking about players that we know that are good, that odds are they've had success before, we know that they're good, blah 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 blah. We went a lot of chalk this episode, but I almost wanted to do a whole episode of this, and maybe next year when we actually put it on a calendar and then we can prep for it and leading up to it instead of just like, hey, the day before we're going to do it. Who is a player that does not have an all-pro yet that you think can break out to have an all-pro season?
I thought you said Pro Bowl. I got to go
or pro. Or you know what? I'm going to leave it open. Pro Bowl or all-pro, because honestly, all-pro, you already kind of have to be a little bit more of an established player.
Well, that's
but Chris,
this is break. I just picking first-time all-pro. Like mine's Garrett Wilson.
I mean okay.
Oh, that's good.
I'm open. I'm open to whatever. I probably didn't explain.
Garrett Wilson's putting up 1,000 yards. With Zach Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, they've worked on their chemistry like crazy. He's been dominating all camp, and I don't love Mike Williams as a number 2. Their slot options aren't great. Their tight ends aren't going to be guys who put up a ton of yards, and Rodgers never really kills it with tight ends. Garrett Wilson's going to have 1,400 yards this year. Like if he doesn't go first round in fantasy drafts, I think it's crazy.
Penik?
Yeah, this just gives me an opportunity to talk about JOK again. Because I want it out there. I want it in this specific episode and not buried in another episode where we're talking about quarterbacks or this or that or this topic or whatever. JOK is going to be an all-pro this year. This is a guy that led the NFL in tackles for loss among interior linebackers. I think he was 3rd in all tackles for loss, which is a edge rusher dominant stat. Had over 20 tackles for loss as an interior linebacker. Oh, by the way, playing 79% of the snaps. 79% of the snaps he was eligible to play last year, he played. He should be a guy that is a 95% plus snap guy for that Browns defense. I think he will be this year. The stats can get even better. He's one of the best pass rushers. He has one of the best coverage numbers. And the average depth of tackle for JOK is number 1 in the league at like 1 point, 2 point, 1 point something. And then you have to double his average depth of tackle to get to who is second in the NFL. JOK is awesome. JOK is good. He already puts up the numbers. He's going to put up more numbers if he plays more, which hopefully the Browns will. He'll be an all-pro this year. Bang. It's out there. It's out there. I want everybody to know it.
Well, he did make the Pro Bowl last year, which was cool, and he did get his 3-year, $39 million extension earlier this month, which was
a steal for the Browns. That was a steal for the Browns.
Yeah, I agree. You know, the only thing is when you walk past him, he looks like he should be in the marketing department or the accounting department. He does not look like a football player. Like he's lanky. It's interesting, but the guy, he's got great instincts and is a really, really good football player. For me, this guy made the Pro Bowl a year ago, but I think he's going to ratchet up a notch, and that's Aiden Hutchinson. Obviously, everybody loves the way he plays. He's got a ton of skills, man. He's strong. He's fast. He's got great. He's got 4 interceptions in 2 years.
Yeah.
On top of everything else, like he's got 21 sacks in his 2 seasons. He jumped from 9 to I think 11 and a half, or maybe it was 9 and a half to 11, whatever it was. But then he could get 15, and then all of a sudden we're sniffing it.
I love Aiden. There's some football snobs who hate him because like, oh, he broke contain a few times, but like he just wins, right? You know, it's like the same people who kind of take shots at TJ Watt a little bit, but it's like, all right, you can do that if you win, and he does it, right? And he's the only guy on that. Like I just did some prep for our Lions TPP. Like it's Aiden Hutchinson, and then there's really not very much pass rush presence at all on that team. So that's a good one. And the Lions are going to be great, so they're just going to be in front facing too. So
yeah, it's hard to do that when you're 9-8.
It is.
He'll be this
it
year,
is.
but
Let down.
But I think he'll find a way. Okay, so this was fun. Always good to get your. I could tell you on Baseball Today when we do that, I have been so horrific with predictions at times. Yeah,
that's because baseball is just random.
It's not random.
Is Aaron Judge going to hit over 62 home runs this year?
Got a shot, man.
That's crazy.
Got a shot. It is crazy. He hits.
Do you have a shot at Bonds' record?
No,
that's not happening. That's not happening. But he does have a shot at his own American League record of 62. That'll be fun over the,
Honestly,
whatever.
It was the worst when he did break it because I wanted to see that, and it just took him like over a week. And it's like, dude, stop making me watch baseball every day. Just hit the damn home run.
Well, so you know who caught his home run to tie it into the football world?
Roger Maris' son.
No, my colleague and friend Sarah Walsh, reporter for NFL Network. Her husband was the bullpen coach for the Blue Jays and was in the bullpen that day when the ball went out there, and he returned it to Judge. She's like, "You idiot. You know how much that ball was worth? You should have checked with me first." So I'm with you, Sarah.
Yeah, when the whole like sell it versus not sell it debate is, if you want to find a middle ground, just sell it for like cheaper to the player. Like you don't have to put it out for bid and get, the max offer. Just, you can be the good guy. Like I gave you a discount, Aaron Judge. Here you go.
I want sweet tickets for you.
Also, Aaron Judge is so rich that if he did break the record, like pay $2 million for it.
I don't think he's $2 million, but yeah, could be in the
whatever it costs for that. Like pay for that.
Well, how about
make that guy change that person's life?
When Mike Evans accidentally threw Tom Brady's record-setting touchdown pass into the crowd.
Remember they give the guy Bitcoin or something?
Is that what it did? Yeah, they gave him something, right?
Yeah. I think it was Bitcoin because that's when like all the athletes were like Bitcoin guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, we are back at it again later this week. Thursday, we've got
preview pod,
game
baby.
1. I know. We've got Baltimore and Kansas City. Friday, we've got Philly and Green Bay from Brazil. Then we've got everybody playing on Sunday except for the Jets and the Niners. It's just going to be a blast, and we cannot wait. It's going to be the best. So for Justin Penik, Bobby Skinner, producer Mikey, I am Chris Rose. We will see you next time here on Football Today.